start? Okay, we're gonna start. Um, as hard as I could possibly make it. It's serious. There's a good prize. Okay, which image below shows a Northern Pacific Sea star? So you just select the shape on your phone that corresponds. It's really hard to see. I'm sorry. I thought it would be bigger. No, I haven't got computer powers. I can't do that.
No, not that one. No, my numbers are different.
Oh, it's over now anyway. You've only got 20, 30 seconds. Um, the answer the answer was the one that's a Northern Pacific Sea star. All right, here we go. Oh my God. All right, this is a drop pin question. Where did NPS first establish in Australia? So you drop them in where in Australia you think they first arrived. I think. Thank you. Thanks. Okay. All right. That's just about everyone. Yeah, Northern Pacific Sea Stars first arrived in Hobart, Tasmania, where we think they came on the ballast water of ships, and then they came across in '95 to Port Phillip Bay. A few hundred were detected in '95, and by 2000 there was about 90 million. 90 million. 90 million. That's a lot of mouths to feed. Yeah. So yeah. Okay, question three. Yeah, yeah. How many rays does the Northern Pacific Sea Star have? Five, four, three, two, one, or all of the above. Rays are their arms. We call them rays. Are you playing to win, Jaden? All right. It's the answer was all of the above. Because they can have up to five. Usually not more than five, although there's been some photographic tricks lately. Um, MPS digest their prey before they eat it. True or false? Oh yeah, we're going fast now that Jaden's pointed out there's a time thing. Yeah, it's true. Their whole stomach comes outside of their body and they release gastric juices and they actually digest their prey and then they bring the nutrients inside the body. Um, all right. What is not a part of the body structure of a Northern Pacific Sea star? Water-filled tube feet, central disc, two-chambered heart, or what I call mouth anus. Oh wow, everyone got it. Oh, except for those who didn't get it. Northern Pacific sea stars don't have a blood or a lymph system. They have a water vascular system, so they don't have a heart. Yeah. All right, this is a slider, so you have to sort of slide to the value. In 95, or I might have said this, a few hundred MPS were detected in Port Phillip Bay, but within 5 years there was approximately how many? That was a pretty easy one for everyone, I think. All right. All right, another drop in. Where will we find the eyes of a Northern Pacific sea star? Where on the body would you find the eyes? They do have eyes, little compound eyes like a fly. Some got it right. Yeah, it's right at the end of their rays. So right at the very tip of their arms. All right, puzzle. Okay. NPS become reproductive at around, and females are capable of carrying up to how many eggs? And larvae are viable for up to how long? So you order the answers. Yeah, yeah. The answers are all there. Yeah. All right. Yep. So they become reproductive at around 10 centimeters, and females are capable of producing 20 million eggs, and larvae are viable for up to 120 days. That's 6 months. Okay. Second last question. Okay, this image is a plastic bag, a Northern Pacific sea star stomach, a jellyfish, or an 11 arm. This might be a trick question. Or an 11 arm sea star stomach. It's an 11 arm because I don't have a good picture of a Northern Pacific sea star one. They look the same. All right, last one. There's a slider. How many individual Northern Pacific sea stars has Earthcare removed so far this year? This year. This year. Yeah, since February, we've been actively doing it this year. Yeah, I got carried away. It's too long. All right. That's right. 50. Oh, no, just joking. Yeah, yeah, 100,000, just over 100,000, which is pretty incredible effort. And and Tice came third. Not bad. Lana came second. And the winner, Lily. Can you pass that behind you? Lana, can you help me? Sorry.
What do you want to do?
Put myself on.
And then you are, this is hard to drive, isn't it?
Oh, there you go. Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh,
And then we do the old switcheroo.
beautiful. Thank you. Yeah. Okay. So my name's Rich. I'm the Northern Pacific Sea Star coordinator for Earthcare, and I've been doing that since about November last year. Also on the team is uh, Jaden and Glenn and Lana. That's sort of the core Northern Pacific Sea Star team. I have this complicated relationship with northern Pacific sea stars because they're this horribly destructive animal that gets in everywhere and causes chaos everywhere they go, and they threaten countless native animals and threaten biodiversity. But I can't help be impressed. I mean, from an evolutionary point of view, they have it sorted. So I'd like to give you a little insight into my understanding of this animal, and just how frustratingly incredible they are and how they got to be so successful. Um, the main life history traits that contribute to the Northern Pacific sea star um, is the way they feed and the way they reproduce. So the whole stomach will actually come outside the body and they release their gastric juices to break down the food before they're able to consume it. Um, they love bivalves. They use their water-filled tube feet. They have these tiny suckers and they can sort of prise open the shell and they can sort of wedge their stomach in as well and prise it open and out comes the stomach and they bring the nutrients back inside. But they can also use their stomach to weave uh, into, like, for example, on the slide, there's one throwing its stomach into a hole in the sand where there might be a little worm or something taking refuge. And so they can use that technique to weave into a cone snail or a periwinkle. But MPS are just not specific about what they eat, and that contributes to their success. We see them eat gastropods, crabs, barnacles, sea squirts, ascidians, and even each other. Um, they indirectly contribute to the endangered status of the spotted handfish by gorging on the ascidian that the handfish eats and also on the handfish eggs. Um, yeah. Um, it's not always as direct as the sort of battle pictured, but simply by exhausting a food supply, MPS food construct consumption has countless downstream effects on many higher order animals. If we look at the body structure, we can see the feet are small, so they can use their tube feet to fine tune their positioning. They're capable of moving something like 60 to 80 meters a day. But MPS have a way to move much faster. This is just personal observation, which I'm currently writing a biological note about. I've observed that Northern Pacific sea stars draw their legs backwards and make their whole body stiff, and they're able to form this rigid ball shape that allows them to exploit currents and swell, and they're able to move very rapidly with intention. So somehow they always seem to get to areas where there is a feast waiting for them. Um, in many ways, it raises more questions than it answers. Why do they curl in this direction, exposing more sensitive body parts? And how do they know where prey is from so far away? I would hypothesize that they are able to sense pheromones in the water. And I also note that their eyes are at the ends of their rays, so they can literally see where they're going. Um, it's all just observation, but it does demonstrate just how purposefully these animals behave. I don't think there's any coincidence that we always find them in the same hotspots. Okay, what about reproduction? All right, we know a female Northern Pacific sea star can can become reproductive within a year, and she can produce up to 20 million eggs in the first year. With Northern Pacific sea stars, we have males and females, and the main reason we see them return to the shallower parts of the bay is when you have broadcast sperm, meaning males release sperm and females release eggs, it's more likely of successful fertilization in less water. So shallower water makes sense. In Port Phillip Bay, we see them come into the shallower water in the colder months before breeding. They roll up into these balls and they ride the surf in, and then they flatten themselves out into the shell bed and just gorge themselves. It's so impressive to me, but upsetting, but amazing. Um, okay, so we have this animal that can reproduce itself like crazy. The eggs, once fertilized, they become free larvae and they just sit in the water column for up to 6 months and they won't develop into the animal until conditions are just right. So that's what I think happened in February this year. In the middle of summer, we had tons of juveniles everywhere. I think they were just waiting for the conditions to be right. Um, Last summer, we had flood after flood, and the bay was hit with fresh water, and the El Nino became a La Nina. And all of a sudden, things were just right, and they just took advantage of that. So Northern Pacific sea stars don't really like fresh water, but they can tolerate brackish water, and all of that flood water brings tons of nutrients, and that's really the advantage for them. Um, yeah. Okay, so by April, still not breeding season. We see this time of season here. This is my third organized non-star regular event, and we've got under the Pyrrhosaurus active MPS, and our volunteers showed up that day and we removed 45,000 of them under 2 hours. Um, I would estimate there was close to 1 million individuals under the pit. Um, so what happens when they consume all the available food supply? MPS seem to have these boom bust cycles. So if the population gets too far out of control, they would simply eat everything and be left to starve with no mechanism for control. So over the next week, what I saw under the pier looked like this. This is sea star wasting disease, and it wiped out the entire population. By the end of the week, there was this disgusting pile of mush, and then the next day, a storm and current whipped through and dispersed legs and dead bodies all the way to Carrum and Edithvale. So within 2 weeks, this is what Carrum looked like. These animals are just incredible survivors, and they are horribly destructive and impressive as heck, and I kind of like them. So that's reproduction. Oh, except did I mention they can reproduce asexually? So as MPS can regenerate a lost limb, they can actually become a whole new animal as long as part of the central disc is intact. So you can actually see MPS do this on purpose. They can actually drop all 5 of their limbs if there's no other way to mate, and you can get 5 clones of themselves. Yeah. Okay, so we meet monthly with our incredible volunteers to tackle this issue, and Earthcare is also working behind the scenes to understand how to tackle the problem in real terms. We are seeking grants to fund bigger projects and forming relationships to potentially use the sea stars for educational purposes. As a result of this, I'm currently in an honours degree with Deakin, and I'll be developing a methodology to assess abundance and distribution of Northern Pacific sea stars using drop camera analysis and eDNA. And by understanding the breadth of the problem and being able to predict outbreaks, we hope we can better inform strategies for management and safeguard key locations within Port Phillip Bay from this incredibly resilient and dangerous predator. That's it.
Thank you, Richard. Time for one question, and then maybe you can bombard him later. Yeah.
It's a really common question. It's so hard to dispose of them. We always talk to the council and try to let them know that we're there. But the short answer is they just go in the bin. We've got a amendment to our permit to collect sea stars, which means we can actually sell them for educational reasons. So we're trying to find uses for them, like dissections and things like that. But yeah, there's no real good use for them other than that. Once they're out of the water, they die really quick, really quick. Yeah, but they're not a pet food. They're not a fertilizer. So yeah, if you have the answer, please tell me. Yeah. Yeah. Okay, great. Oh.
Okay. It's a bit of a running joke that every month Rich is just like such a celebrity on the beach because he doesn't get a breath. Everybody wants to talk to him. So